Yep. Dan apa yang saya boleh kongsikan pertamanya di sini, Wall Street main indices ended down over 1% on Tuesday as 10-year Treasury yields held their multi-year highs, with investors still wrestling with prospects for a long period of high interest rates and the economic fallout. And the Dow posted its biggest one-day percentage drop since March, while all three major averages ended at their lowest closing levels in well over 3 months. And adding to investor anxiety was the potential of a partial US government shutdown by the weekend, which ratings agency Moody's warned would harm the country's credit. And benchmark 10-year Treasury yields have climbed to 16-year highs in the wake of the Federal Reserve hawkish longer-term rate outlook last week. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 388 points to 30,000, and S&P 500 lost 63.91 points to 4,000, and the Nasdaq Composite dropped 207 points to 13,000. All 11 S&P 500 sectors ended lower. So now let's take a look at some of the counter. I'm going to start with the Oracle. If I can show you here, the color is red, which it shows that it was down by 3.16% and stood at 104.88%. And Oracle has announced new generative AI services for healthcare organizations in the form of new Oracle Clinical Digital Assistant, enabling providers to leverage the power of generative AI together with voice commands to reduce manual work and place more focus on patient care. And integrated with Oracle's electronic health record EHR solutions, the clinical digital assistant makes it easy for patients to take self-service actions such as scheduling appointments or checking clinical information at their convenience using simple voice commands. And while EHRs have helped reduce errors and enhance the continuum of care, patients are often left feeling disconnected, unheard, unsatisfied when a provider spends the majority of the appointment staring at screen. And generative AI-powered Oracle Clinical Digital Assistant alleviates this issue to enable physicians to give their full attention to patients while dramatically simplifying administrative tasks. Najib.
Yeah, of course, other sectors as well, because the color here, because you're quite blending with the color, Nabila, your jacket. And we've seen Adobe as of this morning down by 1.04%, as same goes to other counter under the software and infrastructure as well. Because if you look at Adobe, some of the related news about Adobe as of this morning, European Union antitrust regulators basically investigate them into Photoshop Maker. About $20 billion bid for cloud-based designer platform Figma has been put on hold while they wait for requested information from the companies. And also the European Commission said it stopped the clock effective September 19th and will set a new deadline once the companies provide the data. EU competition watchdog said the procedure in merger investigation is activated if the parties fail to provide in a timely fashion an important piece of information that the Commission has requested from them. And the previous deadline was January 8th, and the Commission has previously voiced concern that the deal may remove an important rival to Adobe and allow it to restrict competition in global markets for the supply of interactive product design tools.
And NVIDIA showed some losses as well. As you can see, the color is some kind of red or purple, yeah. And it shows losses of 0.74%.
It's got mild,
mild losses, and stood at 419.11. And NVIDIA has witnessed an uptrend with its share price tripling to 196% till July, especially after the company breached $1 trillion in market capitalization, making it the first US chipmaker to join the $1 trillion club. The chip manufacturer stunned investors by reporting a quarterly profit of more than $2 billion and revenue of $7 billion in May this year, both exceeding the Wall Street expectations. And NVIDIA is possibly most widely known for its GeForce range of PC components, such as graphics cards and drivers, and the GeForce Now cloud gaming service. However, the company has expertise in a much wider range of computing specializations and services, and now styles itself as a world leader in AI computing, indicating where the focus of development currently lies.
Yeah, other counter under the semiconductors is Broadcom. I would say Broadcom here. Broadcom down by 2.12% or 16 points, something like that, and as compared to other peers as well. If you look at AMD, for instance, down by 1.46%, and also Texas Instruments down by 1.83%. Broadcom, for instance, a German court basically ruled about the company, the Netflix, is infringing on the Broadcom patent, and also ordered the company to stop streaming video in the country using Broadcom's technology. The District Court of Munich, Germany said that Netflix is infringing on a patent relating to HEVC-H265 video coding, and the court issued an injunction to the streaming giant asking it to cease and desist further violation of the patent. And also Netflix was found to be infringing on the European patent EP257366 due to its transmission of HEVC video with which the company delivers Ultra HD content, and the court order will prohibit Netflix from streaming content that relies on Broadcom's technology. That is the update about Broadcom in Europe, basically. Yeah.
And moving on to Google, I can show you here, it shows some kind of pink color as well, mild losses at the percentage of negative 1.94%. and stood at the point of 128.56. That lies under communication services. And related news on Google is in a court filing last month. Google argued that it needed its privacy in an antitrust trial that would spotlight its dominance in online search. And once commercially sensitive information is disclosed in open court, the resulting harm to the party's competitive standing cannot be undone, the internet giant wrote to the judge proceeding over the case. And it was part of a pattern of Google's pushing to limit transparency in the first federal government's monopoly trial of the modern internet era. And before opening statements begin on September 12, Google filed 35 motions and responses in the case of nearly 2/3 of them sealed, according to a tally by the New York Times. And now as the case enters its third week in court, it is shaping up to be perhaps the most secretive antitrust trial of the last few decades. And not only has Google argued for the landmark trial to be largely closed off to the public, but so have other companies that are involved, such as Apple and Microsoft. And Apple even filed to quash sub-openness and describing them as unduly burdensome to get its executives out of giving testimony.
Of course, the favorite counter as of this morning is Apple. If you look at Apple this morning, Nabila, negative 2.34% down, as much as 171 points, something like that. Apple, basically, we read the news yesterday, but this is the update of the news. Apple halted in production at the iPhone factory in India, operated by Pegatron, and Apple's supplier, is anticipated to continue through Wednesday, and also there is potential for further disruption as authorities conduct an investigation into the fire incident that at the Seoul Pegatron facility in India, reported Reuters as per their sources. And Pegatron characterized the fire on Sunday as the minor spark incident, assuring that it resulted in no injuries and asserting that it had no financial or operational consequences for Pegatron Corporation. But according to information shared by agencies' resources with knowledge of the situation, it appears that unlikely that the production shift at the plant will resume on Wednesday. And one of these sources mentioned that repair work is underway at the facility located in the area in the southern city of Chennai in Tamil Nadu state. This is quoted by Reuters, and also in a worst case scenario, the shutdown might extend for the entire week.
And that's about Apple. Moving on to Amazon, the color is red as well and showed quite a number of losses with a percentage of negative as 4.03% and stood at a point 125.98. And on related news, Amazon, the US Federal Trade Commission filed a long-awaited antitrust lawsuit against Amazon.com on Tuesday and asked the court to consider forcing the online retailer to sell assets as the government excuses big tech of monopolizing the most lucrative parts of the internet. And the FTC accused Amazon, a company started in a garage in 1994 and today worth $1.3 of fighting efforts by sellers on its online marketplace to offer products more cheaply on other platforms. And Amazon forces sellers to use its warehouses and delivery services, inflating costs for consumers and sellers, said FTC. And Amazon is a monopoly and mises in powers, according to FTC, which quotes a seller as saying, "We have nowhere else to go and Amazon knows it."
Okay, that is about Amazon. Of course, if you look at the oil and gas counter, energy sector for this morning, such as the ExxonMobil up by 0.15%. If you can zoom in a little bit, and Chevron as well, up by or down by 0.547, and other counter in oil and gas, such as the Marathon Petroleum, up or down by 2.06%. This is because the oil price basically settled nearly 1% higher on Tuesday, rebounding basically from the yesterday's session, or a slump in a two-week low in early trading, as expectations of tighter supply outweighed worries that the uncertain economic outlook would crimp demand. Brent crude futures settled 67 cents or higher, or 0.7% higher at $93.96 a barrel, while WTI crude futures settled at 71 cents higher, or 0.8% at 90.390 per barrel. On Monday, Russia softened its gasoline and diesel export ban. Exports of products already accepted by Russia, Russian railways, and also Transneft cannot go ahead, and while higher sulfur gasoline and fuel used for bunkering will be exempt from the ban.